I'm from California, and I'm the new kid to the block here, but I think for an energy efficiency conference, it's really quite chilly in here. So just a comment on AC cost. I'm really grateful to be here and very excited. And I want to share a story about my journey to energy efficiency. In 1998, 2 years after I started a digital marketing agency in Düsseldorf, of all places, I got a call from a company in Seattle. They had just acquired a book distributor in Germany and were looking for an agency to help them run their digital media and marketing campaigns. That's what we did for brands like T-Mobile, and so we went to see them. And I remember driving down there, we talked about the name and thought that Amazon was a really odd choice for a book company. And when we got there, there was a team located right from Seattle, temporarily located in the nowhere of Germany, in a warehouse full of books. And we set up a little computer and presented our agency pitch with lots of great creative work, so we thought. And they listened very patiently, but not overly engaged to what we had to say. And at the very end, we had one slide where we talked about a database transaction tracking thing that we have built for a client, recording sort of how many people clicked on things. And that one slide won us the business. And over the months and years after that, we introduced books and then CDs and then everything else, and we all know the story. And on that journey, we learned a lot about closed-loop marketing, and it changed everything. It took me another year, though, to really understand how much it changes things. And it was in '99 when the big European airlines, including BA, Lufthansa, Air France, all came together, and they started an online travel marketplace called Opodo. Maybe it was the odd name again, but we were very lucky to win this business as well. And we were tasked to launch a new brand and a new website in 3 markets at the same time, just through online marketing. We applied what we learned from Amazon about closed-loop marketing to this project, and within less than a year, Opodo was the #1 travel site in the UK and Germany, and #2 in France. I looked it up for the talk today, and they now do about 1.3 billion in sales, so it's sustained. So what is closed-loop marketing? What's the secret in it? It really requires that you have your key business transaction in some form of online marketplace, and then you track your customer's journey to that transaction, every single touch point of it, and you continuously optimize all your choices, what headlines you write, what advertising images you pick, where you advertise, what the words on the button for the transaction say. Continuously optimize this to drive up the ROI and the scale of that single transaction. You really focus on it, and then you build big digital businesses. So that's what happened there, and I'm very convinced that it will come to the energy market next. It changed many industries, travel, insurance, banking, they all got completely reinvented based on this, and it will come to energy, and I think it will come specifically to energy efficiency programs in the near future. The business case is sound. You know, we heard today, and I think you all know, that winning a kilowatt hour from energy efficiency programs costs less than half on average than what it costs to generate a new one. So that's not difficult math. And then the potential in energy savings, according to our calculations on the total product landscape in the US and the purchases, is enough to power 30 million households. That's how much we could gain if we would maximize it. We did an analysis for Massachusetts, and if you take a single year of refrigerator purchases in Massachusetts and would move it from current to the most energy efficient models, you would gain 700 gigawatt hours in energy. How much is that? 70,000 homes off the grid or something like this? So it's worth doing. So why is this not being done with programs, like Energy Star and Energy Guide firmly established in the market? Why are we not exploring this full potential? Let me share another personal story that might provide some insight. A good 3 years ago, my very good friend Don and I were both moving, and we needed to buy new appliances and electronics. And being sort of the digital data nerds that we are, We really wanted to understand what products to pick and sort of understand best deals, cool features, great quality products, but we wanted to maximize energy savings. We said, in a world where everything can be compared and reviewed online, how hard could this be, right? So we started, and I spare you the ugly details, but weeks later, we were literally hacking our own spreadsheets, model by model, trying to figure out what these products would cost us when we would buy them with our electricity rate, what the lifetime cost would be, what the purchase price would be, and what the feasible financial model is and what products to pick. I should say Don is a banker by trade, so there was a lot of influence from this side. It was an amazing experience, and we learned two things. One thing that was very surprising to me with Energy Star in the market. We had seen that 60% of all fridges and 80% of all TVs were Energy Star certified. So it's fantastic for protecting you from buying a power hog, but it wasn't that helpful in comparing the top end of the market in terms of consumer choices. The second thing that was really telling was that I found a fridge that I really liked and had one of these yellow Energy Guide labels. The label said two things. One, that the operating cost was $67. Two, that there was $3 less than the best comparable product in the range. So apparently, the most energy-efficient fridge I could possibly buy. I was confused. $67 on a $2,000 fridge? Don chimed in and said, my spreadsheet says if you buy this refrigerator and you operate it in Manhattan, where I lived at the time, you'll be paying $1,500 over its lifetime. And my spreadsheet also says there are other models that cost over $100 less to operate over the lifetime. What was going on? You probably know better than I, or clearly better than Don and I knew at the time, that these certification and standard systems and the labeling systems are bound to data that is recorded in a point of time. And they get reviewed in multiple year cycles, and that's what informs all of this. They're also tied to working with national averages and assumptions about usage that represent averages, right? So having all of this, there is limitations in informing us, but as consumers, our choices are highly personal, they're very local, and the product markets change all the time. So what Don and I then set out to do is, okay, if that's the case, we should probably think about a marketplace that does all of this automatic. Ranks and analyzes the products, helps consumers make these choices. So you, as a buyer, feel objectively informed about these things. Like a marketplace for energy-efficient products, think about it as a kayak of appliances and electronics, if you will. A few months later, I quit my ridiculously well-paying digital media job in New York and moved my family, and with my single daughter at the time, it's two now, to California to start just that. Don and I set out to build this data and marketing platform to help people make these decisions at scale. It took 3 years, it's done, and this is where I'm very convinced that closed-loop marketing is going to come to energy efficiency programs. Quick word about the marketplace. I don't want to bore you with the details, but it does a lot of work. It goes through hundreds of thousands of product offers every day, ranks and compares products, kind of like you know it from travel marketplaces and similar things. It analyzes products not only by their technical features and by their popularity, how they are reviewed, and what sort of the sales rankings on these products are. It checks local availability by zip code, and it understands products' relative energy efficiency today. So if I compare this product to all my other choices that I have today, how does it look? Having this product data, you then have the first component of closed-loop marketing. You then connect this with the audience side. So if you are in the digital space, we know a lot about things about people shopping for these products. There are about 80 million people in the US in the market every month shopping for appliances and electronics. And when you do these searches in Google and the sites you serve, a marketing profile is generated for you. We know what you search for, what product categories, what models you're considering, what budget ranges you're looking at, what product features are relevant to you. We know your geolocation down to the zip code from where you are looking at these products. And all of this can be combined and compared to the product data to give you a very personal proposal. And with that, we get to a closed-loop marketing program. And give me a couple more minutes to walk you through Don and my experience, how it could look in the near future if we both were just moving to Rhode Island and kind of needed new electronics and appliances in that time. And I have to say, National Grid doesn't know anything about us using their brand in this, so this is just a vision of the future. I apologize ahead of time here. Okay, so you know, we might again start with a search in Google, right? We search for energy-efficient refrigerators because that's what we want to buy. We do this, and we get results on Energy Star, on Top 10, on Consumer Reports. We get ads from retailers and manufacturers, like you would expect. And we start our search online. What happens very quickly, within the first hour and over the next weeks, is that after this action, wherever we go online, even to your news website, suddenly ads, banners pop up that promote to me an energy efficiency rebate for appliances in Rhode Island from National Grid and saying, if you buy a really energy-efficient refrigerator, we give you a $50 prepaid Visa card. Okay, like, okay, I'm a National Grid customer. I'm in their zip code. That sounds tempting. I trust them, so I click one of these ads. It gets me to a National Grid-branded marketplace where I can slice and dice and sort and filter and find the products that I like out of everything that's available in the market. All appliance categories, all electronics categories, everything that uses energy can be compared. I find a product that I like. I look at the details there, and it has a big thing that says, this is a product that's eligible for a $50 rebate. Do you want it? Enter your email address, and then you do in 3 easy steps, you're eligible for it. I put in my email address, and I get an email. The email has a couple of very simple instructions. The first one being, you know, click here and connect my email address with my National Grid account. So I log into my National Grid account, and I'm connected there. And at the back of it, it asks me, is it okay if we provide your green button data, your smart meter data, to the marketplace so we can give you even more energy-efficient product recommendations and predict savings for you? I like savings, so okay, I do this, and I trust National Grid that they'll be responsible with it. So Don and I keep on researching, and 10 days later, we're ready to make a purchase. We know what fridge to get, and we don't want to buy it online. We actually want to see the product, so we drive to our local Sears store. The sales guy there does a fabulous job, closes us on the fridge, and we buy it. As instructed in the email, I take my iPhone out and take a picture of the sales receipt right in the store, and I just reply to it to the email address that I got the original email from National Grid from. Instantly, I get a feedback and it says, this product is eligible. Your $50 prepaid card is on the way to you. You should have it within 3 to 5 business days. That was rewarding. Okay, so we go home. A few days later, the card arrives. It's a wonderfully co-branded National Grid Visa prepaid card issued by, and I really should have put there, Citizen Bank, but I didn't know that they were engaged in this. So a local bank is engaged and they help with the program, and it's a Visa card. It's a $50 debit card. I can spend it wherever I like. And then something really interesting happens. The fridge gets installed, and a week later, I get another email from the National Grid marketplace and saying, congratulations on the installed fridge. How do they know? Your green button data revealed that your new fridge saves you 234 kilowatt hours per year compared to your old device. That should be about $416 in saving over its lifetime. And then it says, if everyone in the United States would have picked that very same fridge this year, we collectively would have saved 24 billion tons of carbon dioxide. Donna has 2 daughters, I do too. They all would say, that's awesome. So this is the near future. I get it. It sounds like, you know, I had too much sun in LA, and that might very well be the case. But I promise you, all of this is technically doable today. The components are in place. These practices are done from credit card companies to travel companies. There's no hidden science in it. It's just the focus on data and scale. And I know that when you think energy efficiency, you think local. Remember, all of this can be locally targeted down to the zip code. It's not national work that happens here. So with that, let me leave you with 3 recommendations of how I think you can get engaged on these types of programs today. First one, own your key transaction. If you don't own your key business transaction online, you can't do any of this. What is that key transaction? It is the redemption of the rebate. If you cannot track this instantly down to the customer level, you cannot optimize on it, you cannot choose the rebates amount, you cannot focus on the right products, you need to build a marketplace and own the piece of rebate redemption. It's really critical. And we believe from a lot of research that Google has done and others that prepaid cards are the most desired item to do this from a consumer standpoint. More than a bill rebate, more than a cut on the product, because you give them something that is perceived higher than cash in the value how a consumer looks at it. Second thing, focus on early purchase consideration. The point of sale today is more and more just a function of convenience and price. Product decisions are made in the weeks and months prior to purchase, and they all happen online, across categories. Even if the purchase happens online, the research happens online. That's where the opportunity is to pitch the energy efficiency story. That's where you can advertise money savings and environmental savings, and digital media is the way to do this. And the third thing is get ready for product-specific rebates. I know this sounds very daunting, given how difficult it is to get through regulations. We have been working on this a lot, and I think it is doable that you give consumers the highest amount of rebate money for the most energy-saving products. And not that the financial difference is such a big one. It is the feel of control that you give to the consumer by comparing products and saying, well, wait a minute, this fridge saves me $12 more or gives me a $12 higher rebate. That motivation is where you get consumers engaged and they feel, well, I make a choice and I see the results of this. So these are my three things. Final statement, remember the Apoto story. Everyone coming together, one marketplace, closed loop marketing, making it #1. And that's what we should do. Thank you.